Levi had been playing Minecraft when a bolt of lightning struck. Everything went black. The next time he opened his eyes, he wasn't in his room anymore. He had become the sixth prince of the Dawn Kingdom. What the hell? Before he could panic, something even crazier appeared in his vision. 10 hearts, 10 hunger bars, an inventory, a crafting grid. It was Minecraft's interface. The moment he opened it, a familiar message popped up. Achievement unlocked, open inventory. Levi couldn't help but grin. His Minecraft abilities had come with him. That meant insane durability, absurd regeneration, crafting, and countless possibilities. If he played his cards right, this world wouldn't stand a chance. A knock pulled him back to reality. His old butler, Trist, looked ready to lose his mind. "My prince, nearly 1,000 refugees are outside the city. They're starving, angry, and close to rioting. We should leave Wintertown and return to the capital before it's too late." Levi calmly shook his head. "If I run now, I'll lose my chance at becoming king. Bring me every bone, potato, and piece of coal you can find. If my plan fails, then you can drag me back yourself." Although completely confused, Trist could only obey. Once the room was empty, Levi sorted through his memories. This wasn't just another fantasy world. It was filled with humans, elves, dwarves, monsters, and powerful practitioners. His new identity was Levi Charles, the sixth prince of the Dawn Kingdom. 6 months earlier, the king had challenged all 8 of his children. "Rule the territory you receive. Whoever governs best within 5 years becomes the next ruler." Most princes inherited wealthy cities. Levi, he got Wintertown, a frozen border settlement with no money, no industry, poor harvests, and monster attacks every season. Basically, the king had handed him the hardest difficulty possible. To make things worse, a nearby town had been destroyed by monsters. Nearly 1,000 refugees had fled straight to Wintertown. The town barely had enough food for its own people, let alone another 1,000 mouths. Anyone else would have abandoned the territory. Levi wasn't interested. Going back to the capital meant walking straight into the new queen's political games. Staying here at least gave him a fighting chance. Besides, he had Minecraft. His request suddenly made perfect sense. Bones became bone meal. Bone meal instantly grew potatoes. Coal baked them. Infinite baked potatoes. Enough to feed everyone. But first, he knighted furnaces. Furnaces required cobblestone. Cobblestone required a pickaxe. A pickaxe required wood. He was already planning to head for the nearest forest when something caught his eye. Right outside the Lord's mansion stood dozens of priceless ornamental pine trees. Beautiful. Levi looked at them with a smile that made any gardener cry. Every empire starts the same way. He cracked his knuckles. First, chop down some trees. Levi immediately tested his new Minecraft abilities by punching one of the mansion's priceless pine trees. It worked. The tree turned into collectible blocks, and the remaining trunk floated in midair like normal Minecraft physics. After gathering enough logs, he crafted planks, a crafting table, and his first wooden pickaxe. Achievement unlocked, time to mine. He dug straight into the ground, collected stone, and quickly upgraded to a stone pickaxe. Achievement unlocked, getting an upgrade. While Levi happily mined cobblestone, Trist returned after arranging the supplies. Following the sounds outside, the old butler accidentally fell into Levi's mining pit. Seeing floating dirt, disappearing blocks, and a prince casually mining underground left him completely speechless. Magic was the only explanation Levi gave. Surprisingly, Trist accepted it without question. Curious, Levi handed him a stone pickaxe to test his theory. Trist could use Minecraft tools and even place Minecraft blocks, but he was far slower and weaker than Levi. That confirmed Steve's powers belonged mainly to Levi, while others could only use his creations with heavy limitations. After collecting 4 stacks of cobblestone, Levi finally stopped mining. Now he had everything he needed. His next goal: build an enormous wall of furnaces and cook enough baked potatoes to feed every refugee outside Wintertown. Back on the surface, Levi used his freshly mined cobblestone to craft dozens of furnaces. Achievement unlocked, hot topic. In minutes, he built a massive wall of 60 furnaces, leaving Trist completely convinced that his prince was some kind of hidden master mage. Soon, carts loaded with bones, potatoes, and coal arrived. The servants complained the entire way, convinced Levi was about to waste even more resources while refugees starved outside the city. Instead, Levi handed out stone hoes and ordered everyone to till the frozen ground. The workers thought he'd finally lost it. "It's winter, nothing can grow," one farmer, Pete, protested. Levi simply smiled. Using Minecraft tools, the frozen soil tilled effortlessly. Once the potatoes were planted, Levi turned every bone into bone meal, or as he called it, growth powder. One sprinkle. The potatoes sprouted. A second. They bloomed. A third. The crop was fully grown. The workers stood frozen as Levi pulled over a dozen potatoes from a single plant. Their jaws hit the floor. Pete immediately realized this growth powder could ignore seasons and accelerate crops to full maturity in seconds. Seeing Pete's farming knowledge, Levi promoted him on the spot. His first mission was simple: grow, harvest, bake, and deliver enough potatoes to feed every refugee outside Wintertown. The gloomy backyard instantly transformed into a giant production line as everyone rushed to farm and cook. Satisfied that everything was under control, Levi gave Trist one final order. "In 3 hours, open the city gates and feed the refugees." Then he yawned. "And bring me a lounge chair first." With the refugees still surrounding Wintertown, Knight Commander Isabella Windsor refused to open the city gates. Food inside the town was already running out, and letting desperate refugees in would only trigger a riot. So when Trist suddenly arrived with Levi's order to prepare food relief in 3 hours, she thought he had gone crazy. Until Trist calmly explained. Levi had somehow solved the food crisis using magic. Not only was there enough food, but every refugee would eat their fill. Isabella didn't buy it for a second. Knowing Levi's terrible reputation, she assumed this was just another reckless stunt and demanded to see him herself. When she arrived at the mansion's backyard, she froze. Servants were farming, harvesting, and baking potatoes nonstop. A gigantic wall of furnaces stretched across the garden, while potatoes poured out almost faster than they could be loaded. The entire place had turned into a massive food production line. Even Isabella couldn't make sense of what she was seeing. Trist couldn't hide his pride. His Highness created all of this, from planting to a baked potato. It takes less than 30 seconds. Impossible. Before she could question him further, Levi walked over. Stopping right in front of the stunned Knight Commander, he met her gaze with complete confidence. "You think I'm lying." Still unconvinced, Isabella begged Levi to cancel his order. If the city gates opened without enough food, Wintertown would descend into chaos. Levi didn't argue. Instead, he let her watch the workers. A handful of growth powder turned tiny potato sprouts into fully grown crops within seconds. Isabella was stunned. When Levi casually turned beast bones into more growth powder right before her eyes, she finally accepted the truth. The food crisis was over. With enough beast bones, Levi could keep producing the magical fertilizer and feed the entire town. Realizing she'd been wrong, Isabella knelt before him. "In 3 hours, I'll open the gates and bring the refugees inside safely." Before letting her leave, Levi gave one warning. "This crisis isn't a coincidence. Someone is pulling the strings." He hinted that the refugee disaster, delayed supplies, and everything happening in Wintertown had likely been planned to eliminate him from the Crown Prince competition. Even Trist was shaken. Could Levi's useless reputation have been nothing more than an act all along. Without explaining further, Levi simply tucked a red flower into Isabella's hair. It suits you. Flustered but respectful, Isabella accepted the order and left. Far away in the prosperous city of Winterhold, the real mastermind finally appeared. Levi's younger brother, Richard Charles, calmly listened as his knight reported that spies had already stirred the refugees into rebellion. Even the city gates had been sabotaged from the inside. Richard smiled. As long as Levi failed, the entire northern border would belong to him. Crushing his own brother was simply one less obstacle on the road to the throne. Back at the Night Fortress, Isabella ordered the city gates to be opened in 3 hours. The knights were stunned. With food running out, letting over 1,000 starving refugees inside sounded like suicide. But Isabella stood firm. She swore on the Windsor family name that Levi had already solved the food crisis. Hearing that oath, the knights stopped arguing and accepted the order. Still, Isabella noticed several knights exchanging suspicious glances. Levi's warning had been right. There were traitors hiding within the order. The moment the meeting ended, the spies secretly rushed to inform their allies. Since they couldn't stop the relief mission, they would force the refugees to riot before the gates opened. Meanwhile, Pete reported the results to Levi. Over 3,000 baked potatoes were ready for immediate relief, with thousands more stored away as production continued. The miracle harvest left everyone speechless, while Levi quietly kept one secret to himself. He had claimed his growth powder had limits. It didn't. If people discovered he could produce it endlessly, every kingdom on the continent would come after him. After checking on the operation, Levi casually collected the experience orbs generated by the furnaces, pushing his Minecraft level all the way to 31. Everything was finally in place. Standing before dozens of wagons loaded with baked potatoes, Levi gave a single order. Move out. Time to feed the refugees. Levi personally led dozens of wagons filled with baked potatoes to the city gates. The townspeople were stunned. The same prince they had cursed for years was actually handing out food. Nobody believed it. Curious, they followed the convoy to see what he was up to. Meanwhile, the traitors inside the city made their move. They tried to send a signal to the assassins waiting outside, but Isabella was already expecting them. She ambushed the group, cut off the signalman's hand with a single strike, and forced the remaining knights to surrender. The spies were thrown into the dungeon before they could warn anyone. Outside the walls, hundreds of starving refugees waited in the freezing cold. Hidden among them were assassins sent by Richard. Their plan was simple: start a riot, sneak into the city, and kill Levi. But before they could act, the city gates opened. Wagons overflowing with hot baked potatoes rolled out instead. The refugees couldn't believe their eyes. Standing atop the walls, Levi calmly addressed the crowd before ordering the food to be distributed. The assassins tried stirring up chaos, but Isabella immediately had the knights restore order. Everyone will be fed. Anyone who starts trouble dies. The warning worked. The refugees lined up peacefully, each receiving hot food for the first time in days. The assassins had no choice but to blend into the crowd and wait for another chance. Watching the starving refugees cry with relief as they ate, Levi couldn't help smiling. He nudged Trist. I did a pretty huge good deed today, didn't I? Holding back tears, Trist placed a hand over his heart. You certainly did, Your Highness. Standing beside them, Isabella said nothing. But for the first time, she truly began to respect Levi. Levi's disaster relief spread across Wintertown in no time. The same people who had cursed him yesterday were now completely confused. The sixth prince actually did something good. Some even joked that he must have been possessed. If that's true, one man laughed, I hope the demon never leaves. Still, most people were relieved the refugees had finally been saved. With the crisis under control, Levi turned his attention to the captured traitors. No matter how badly they were beaten, the four knights refused to talk. So Levi changed tactics. Instead of threatening their lives, he threatened their families. As traitors, they deserved execution, but Levi calmly added that their wives and children would also lose everything, be stripped of their status, and spend the rest of their lives as serfs. The knights broke instantly. They confessed everything. They had been bribed by Winterhold's Knight's order to help the assassins and sabotage Wintertown from the inside. Levi got the information he needed, but kept his promise. The traitors were executed, while their families were spared, reduced to commoners instead of serfs. After leaving the dungeon, Isabella finally shared her conclusion. Winterhold belonged to the seventh prince, Richard Charles. The delayed relief supplies. The infiltrators. The assassination attempt. Everything pointed to one man. Richard had made his first move in the battle for the throne. The traitors were gone, but Levi already knew the real enemy. The mastermind could only be Richard Charles, the ruthless seventh prince who ruled Winterhold, a man infamous for killing even his own servants on a whim. Compared to him, the captured knights were nothing more than pawns. Watching how terrified they were of becoming serfs only strengthened Levi's resolve. No one deserved to live like that. A person should live like a human being. One day he would abolish serfdom entirely. After the interrogation, Isabella's opinion of Levi changed even more. The prince she once despised was nothing like the man standing before her now. Still, the danger wasn't over. She warned Levi that assassins were almost certainly hiding among the refugees. Levi wasn't surprised. If Richard wanted me dead, sending assassins is exactly what he'd do. Rather than hiding behind guards forever, Levi made a decision. He asked Isabella to personally train him in swordsmanship using her toughest methods. Although shocked, she accepted. Levi then turned his attention to the refugees. Leaving them in tents would only lead to more deaths, while scattering them across the town would create conflict. His solution was simple. Build them houses. Both Isabella and Trist thought it was impossible. Thousands of homes couldn't be built before winter claimed more lives. Levi simply smiled. Not with ordinary methods. He pulled out a single block of cobblestone and handed it to Isabella. The moment she placed it on the ground, it instantly expanded into a full-sized stone block. She stared at it in disbelief. Only then did Trist realize Levi's plan. With Minecraft blocks, they could build an entire refugee settlement in record time. After Trist left, Isabella apologized for losing her composure. Levi brushed it off and decided to show her why he wanted to spar with a second-order knight. Standing before a cobblestone block, he shattered it with nothing but his bare fists. Isabella was speechless. Even she needed battle aura to do that. Levi didn't. After examining him with her battle aura, she became even more shocked. A first-order knight would have been crushed by the pressure. Levi. He only complained that it felt itchy. By the time she stopped, Isabella had reached a single conclusion. Your physical strength is already on par with a second-order knight. Even she couldn't explain how it was possible. Once Isabella stepped outside, Levi ran another experiment. He cut his own finger with a letter opener. Instead of bleeding, his health simply dropped from 20 to 19 hearts. A few breaths later, it returned to full. His hunger bar had decreased slightly instead. After eating a pastry, it instantly recovered. Levi couldn't stop smiling. His Minecraft body worked exactly like the game. As long as he wasn't killed in one hit, he could regenerate almost endlessly. That made him far harder to kill than anyone had imagined. Now all that was left was learning how to fight. Levi ordered Wintertown's architects to design housing for over 1,000 refugees. After studying the plans, they gave their answer. Even if everyone works non-stop, it'll still take at least 3 months. Levi shook his head. I'll give you 3 days. The architects thought he'd lost his mind. Until Levi led them to the backyard. In front of everyone, he stacked a few cobblestone blocks and built an entire stone house in just 13 seconds. Everyone was dumbfounded. Even Isabella couldn't hide her shock. If this could be used on a battlefield, entire forts could appear overnight. Levi called the blocks a special alchemical material, cobblestone, before letting the architects try them for themselves. The moment they placed a block on the ground, it expanded into a full-sized stone cube. Within minutes, they had built another house on their own. The architects were ecstatic. They immediately realized this invention could completely revolutionize construction. Levi smiled. So, does it still take 3 months? Kerr, the lead architect, laughed confidently. If you can supply enough cobblestone, we'll finish every refugee house in a single day. Satisfied, Levi handed over hundreds of cobblestone blocks and ordered construction to begin immediately. The race to build Wintertown's new refugee settlement had officially begun. Levi visited the quarry with Isabella, expecting to collect building materials. Instead, he discovered something even crazier. The moment he touched ordinary stone, it instantly transformed into Minecraft cobblestone inside his inventory. Jackpot! Even the quarry workers froze. 1 second, mountains of stone were there. The next, gone, replaced by perfectly stacked cobblestone blocks. The foreman dropped to his knees. Gods above. Even Isabella was speechless. Every time she thought she'd seen Levi's limits, he broke them again. Levi quietly collected several stacks of iron ore as well. Iron sword, iron armor, shield. If assassins wanted a fight, he'd be ready. Meanwhile, construction teams arrived at the refugee camp carrying hundreds of cobblestone blocks. When Kerr announced, "We'll build 100 houses today," everyone laughed. 1 day. Yeah, right. But the laughter stopped fast. Workers placed block after block. 10 minutes later, a complete stone house stood before everyone's eyes. Silent. Then another house. And another. The entire refugee camp watched in disbelief. Refugees couldn't hold back their tears. Food. Warm shelter. A lord who actually cared. For the first time in a long while, they felt hope. Long live Lord Levi. Long live the Lord. The cheers echoed across Wintertown. Watching from the crowd, the hidden assassins panicked. No hunger. No riots. No chaos. Levi had ruined every part of their plan. The captain's face darkened. We move tonight. He revealed a hidden trump card. A third-tier water elemental scroll. It'll keep Isabella busy. The assassins grinned. Tonight, either Levi dies, or they do. Levi finished smelting his first batch of iron. Achievement unlocked, getting tough. Pure iron ingots dropped from the furnace one after another. Even Trist was stunned. This quality, these weapons would be terrifying. Isabella nodded. Even the royal capital doesn't forge iron this pure. Levi walked to the crafting table. Without a hammer, without a forge, he simply arranged the ingots. Poof! A complete set of iron armor appeared. Helmet, chestplate, leggings, boots, then an iron sword, a shield. Isabella blinked. On what? Even Trist could only stare in silence, creating full equipment in seconds. It completely shattered common sense. Levi tossed the chest plate to Isabella. Hit it. Isabella hesitated but wrapped her fist in battle aura. Boom! The armor flew across the yard. She picked it up. Not a single dent. Impossible. Levi smiled. Looks sturdy enough. Next came the iron sword. One swing. A massive stone split clean in half. What a blade, Trist muttered. Finally, Levi handed Isabella a plain wooden shield. Block this. He swung the iron sword with full force. Clang! The shield stopped everything. No crack. No scratch. No damage at all. Isabella stared in disbelief. A wooden shield blocked that. Levi only smiled. The MC gear was even stronger than he expected. Satisfied, he stored every item inside his inventory. That's enough testing. As darkness covered Wintertown, silent figures slipped into the Lord's mansion. The assassination had begun. But Isabella refused to leave. The assassins are still out there. I'll guard you all night. Levi could only sigh and accept it. The room fell silent. Levi closed his eyes. But no matter how tired he was, he couldn't sleep. His eyes suddenly opened. Wait, that was a Minecraft mechanic. Players can't sleep when monsters are nearby. Which meant the assassins were already inside the mansion. Without making a sound, Levi opened his inventory. Iron armors, iron sword, shield, fully equipped in seconds. Now the hunters had no idea. Their prey was armed. Levi whispered, Isabella, I'm thirsty, can you get me some water? She stepped away from her guard position. Exactly as Levi planned. If the assassins were watching, they'd think this was their chance. Crash! The window exploded. 7 masked assassins stormed into the room. At the same time, every magic lamp was destroyed. The bedroom plunged into darkness. Kill the 6th prince. Isabella's battle aura erupted instantly. L'enemy attack. The assassin's first attack failed. The ones Isabella cut down suddenly turned into paper dolls. Paper dolls substitute. They were only decoys. While Isabella rushed to protect Levi, the remaining assassins blocked her path with dagers and charged straight for the prince. But instead of panicking, Levi kicked off his blanket. He was already wearing full iron armor, holding an iron sword and shield. The assassin stabbed his chest. Clang! The blade couldn't even pierce the armor. Who sleeps in armor? Before he could react, slash! Levi killed him in one hit. Even Isabella froze. When did your highness put that on? The assassins realized the truth. Levi wasn't some useless prince. He was at least 2nd tier. All 5 attacked together. Isabella unleashed heroic strike, instantly cutting down 2. The remaining assassins tried to escape. Triple slash. 3 more fell. In seconds, the room was filled with corpses. Levi smiled. Nice work, Isabella. But before she could answer, a black figure appeared between them. The assassin captain. His real target had finally revealed himself. He activated a 3rd-tier water elemental scroll. A giant water monster burst into existence, trapping Isabella and everyone else outside the room. Now, Levi stood alone against a 2nd-tier assassin. The captain attacked with blinding speed. Levi blocked with his shield, but a few strikes slipped through. HP 20 right arrow 18. Seconds later. HP 2020. His Minecraft regeneration restored everything. The assassin frowned. What kind of monster are you? Levi swung back repeatedly. Every attack missed. The captain laughed. Your swordsmanship is terrible. Levi grinned. Maybe, but I'm still a PvP pro. He suddenly pulled out a cobblestone. The assassin charged. Thud. A stone block appeared directly in his path. He smashed his shin into it and stumbled. Levi slashed immediately. The captain barely twisted away, avoiding a fatal hit. So you can dodge that. Levi jumped. Block. Jumped again. Block. Again. Block. In seconds, he built a tall stone pillar beneath himself until he stood near the ceiling. Looking down with a smug grin, he pointed his sword at the furious assassin. Come on. If you can, come kill me. Levi's stone pillar left the assassin captain completely stunned. He sprinted up the pillar to attack. But Levi's sword strike blasted him back to the ground. Furious, the captain threw a barrage of daggers. Levi calmly blocked everyone with his shield, while casually eating a baked potato. His hunger bar instantly refilled. The captain nearly exploded. My target is eating during our fight. Soon both realized they were stuck. The captain couldn't reach Levi. Levi couldn't land a finishing blow. Meanwhile, Isabella was still trapped by the Tier 3 water elemental. Then Levi remembered something. A water elemental is still water, right? He quickly crafted an iron bucket, then tossed it toward Isabella. Use the bucket to scoop up the water elemental. Everyone thought he was crazy, but Isabella trusted him. She picked up the bucket and scooped. Whoosh! The giant water elemental was instantly sucked into the bucket. The entire hallway fell silent. Even the water elemental looked confused. Water elemental, oh. The magic scroll lost its power. The monster instantly turned into ordinary water. With Isabella finally free, the assassin captain knew he had lost. He smashed through the window and fled. Isabella chased and landed a triple slash, injuring his leg, but he still escaped into the night. Levi climbed down, reclaimed his cobblestone pillar, and sighed. No assassin, no water elemental. What a waste. Then a loud scream echoed from the back garden. Bang! What the hell? Who dug such a huge hole back here? The screams led everyone to the back garden. There, at the bottom of Levi's mining pit, lay the injured assassin captain. While escaping in the dark, he had fallen straight into the 5-meter hole. Trist laughed so hard he nearly lost his breath. Your Highness actually caught prey with a mining hole. The captain was furious. Who dug this stupid hole? Levi smiled. I did, specially prepared for you. The assassin almost coughed up blood. Everything had gone wrong because of this prince. Trist suggested interrogation. The captain immediately shouted, I'll never tell you anything. Levi clapped. Very loyal, then there's no need to interrogate you. On what? Everyone froze. Instead of questioning him, Levi simply analyzed the situation. The 7th prince would have erased all evidence already. Even a confession wouldn't prove much. So why waste time? Levi had a simpler plan. Leave him down there. When he's starving, thirsty, feverish, and desperate, we'll talk. Then he sealed the pit with a cobblestone block. The assassin was left in total darkness. His mind broke. This wasn't how interrogations worked. Wasn't he supposed to resist, negotiate, and trade information for his life? Why wasn't Levi following the rules? Day 1. Levi trained swordsmanship with Isabella. Day 2. More training. Day 3. Even more training. Meanwhile, the assassin sat alone in darkness. His leg wound became infected. The fever worsened. No one came. No interrogation. No torture. No negotiation. Nothing. Finally, his psychological defenses shattered. He screamed toward the surface. "Let me out. I have information. I know about the northern frontier's fall." The workers above jumped in fright. For a moment, they thought a ghost was haunting the garden. Pete quickly calmed everyone. "It's just the captured assassin." The workers shrugged and went back to growing potatoes. Eventually, Pete reported the news to Trist. After 3 days of silence, the assassin had finally broken first. Levi trained with Isabella for 3 days while she stayed by his side to protect him from any remaining assassins. His swordsmanship improved at an unbelievable speed, allowing him to match Isabella after she lowered her strength. Even Isabella was shocked. "Your Highness, your talent is unbelievable." She then taught him the knight's breathing technique, a method of syncing one's breathing with the surroundings to greatly improve speed, strength, stamina, and reactions. Isabella guided him personally, asking him to copy her breathing rhythm. The moment Levi followed her breathing, he instantly entered the state. The Steve physique treated the technique like another Minecraft skill, allowing him to master it almost immediately. Isabella was left speechless. Just then, Trist rushed onto the training ground. The assassin finally broke. After accidentally interrupting the lesson, he reported that the captured assassin captain was begging to speak, but only if Levi came personally. Levi smiled. Perfect timing. He wanted to test his newly learned swordsmanship and breathing technique. "Isabella, if I fight that second-tier assassin now, what are my chances?" She answered without hesitation. "At least 90%. Levi grinned. "Looks like I just found the perfect sparring partner." Meanwhile, trapped inside the dark mining pit, the wounded assassin captain suddenly shivered. Without knowing why, he felt an overwhelming sense of danger approaching. The captured assassin captain, Velos, was finally pulled out of the pit after 3 miserable days. He revealed what Levi already knew. The mastermind behind the refugee crisis and assassination was 7th Prince Richard. Levi was unimpressed. "Throw him back." Terrified, Velos quickly revealed his real secret. A mysterious black dragon with purple eyes was leading the monster tide. Its purple breath transformed humans into teleporting monsters with glowing purple eyes. Levi immediately realized. The Ender Dragons. The transformed humans were essentially Endermen. Velos warned that infected refugees could become monsters at any moment and begged for his freedom. Since the information was valuable, Levi honored his oath. He healed Velos' wounds, untied him, and released him. Relieved, Velos believed he had survived. But the next moment, Levi equipped his full iron armor, drew his sword, and activated the knight's breathing technique. "I kept my promise. I released you. But as Lord of Wintertown, I now declare you a wanted criminal." Velos realized Levi had obeyed the oath while cleverly avoiding its loopholes. Furious, he charged toward Levi, believing escape would be easy. This time, Levi's swordsmanship had completely changed. 3 days of training allowed him to match a second-tier assassin. One clean slash. Velos' neck was cut open. Begging for mercy, he offered absolute loyalty. Levi simply shook his head. You don't regret your actions. You only regret losing. With one final strike, the assassin captain died. Levi had won his first true duel against a second-tier professional, proving his rapid growth and learning the terrifying truth. The Ender Dragon was behind the northern frontier's fall. After losing contact with the assassins, Prince Richard realized the mission had failed. Instead of worrying, he smiled. Hidden among the refugees were people infected by the Ender Dragon's breath. Soon they would transform into monsters and destroy Wintertown from within. Meanwhile, Richard ordered his men to hunt down a group of escaped demi-human slaves, including a captured demi-human princess, while executing the arena manager for letting them escape. Back in Wintertown, Levi gathered Isabella and Trist after learning the truth about the Ender Dragon. He explained that the purple-eyed monsters were Endermen. They can teleport. They hate water. They attack after transformation. Levi suspected the transformation was similar to a negative status effect in Minecraft. If that was true, milk might cure it. He immediately headed for the pasture to test his theory before more refugees transformed. At the refugee camp, life had improved dramatically. Stone houses, hot food, and clean water had reduced deaths to almost zero. The refugees praised Levi as their savior every day. But the infection had already begun. Inside one shelter, a sick woman suddenly developed purple eyes. An overwhelming urge to kill consumed her. She grabbed her own son by the throat. Just as the boy was about to suffocate, Isabella burst into the room, knocking the woman away and pinning her to the ground. Levi rushed over, helped the frightened boy to his feet, and calmly said, "Don't be afraid. We're going to try everything we can to save your mother." Levi and Isabella arrived just in time to stop an infected mother from killing her own son. Her eyes had turned purple, and her body was slowly transforming into an Enderman. Levi quickly pulled out buckets of fresh milk from his inventory. While Isabella restrained the woman, Levi forced her to drink the milk. Seconds later, the black corruption vanished. Her purple eyes returned to normal. The dragon's breath infection was cured. The mother regained her senses and tearfully reunited with her son. Levi realized his theory was correct. Dragon's breath syndrome was treated like a Minecraft negative status effect, and milk removed it instantly. The grateful mother revealed her name was Marina, while her son was Joe. She explained that her husband had died protecting them from a black teleporting monster at the northern frontier. Levi immediately gave new orders. Marina would help identify infected refugees. Trist would supervise the milk distribution. Isabella would lead the knights to search every shelter and restrain anyone refusing to drink. Every refugee had to drink the magic milk before the infection fully transformed them into Endermen. Wintertown launched a massive rescue operation. Watching Levi save thousands of lives once again, Trist finally understood. The useless prince everyone mocked had never truly existed anymore. The Levi standing before him was a leader capable of changing an entire kingdom. Levi announced free hot milk for every refugee. While Trist distributed the milk, Levi and Isabella searched every stone house for dragon's breath patients. Anyone showing purple eyes was restrained and forced to drink the milk. Within minutes, dozens of infected refugees were cured. But then Levi found one that was too late. A fully transformed Enderman stood silently inside a stone house. Levi immediately warned everyone, "Don't look into its eyes." The knights lowered their heads while Levi stepped forward alone. He attacked first. The Enderman screamed and instantly teleported behind him. Clang! Levi blocked the surprise attack with his shield. Teleport. Block. Counterattack. Teleport again. Block again. The flawless exchange stunned every knight. Even Isabella realized Levi fought like a veteran who had battled this monster countless times before. After one final strike, Levi's iron sword pierced the Enderman's chest. The monster let out one last scream before collapsing. Achievement unlocked, Monster Hunter. Only Levi could see the glowing experience orbs. EXP +5, level 35. Then another reward appeared on the ground. An Ender Pearl. Levi smiled as he picked up the priceless teleportation item. His first Enderman hunt had been a complete success. Levi stored the Ender Pearl before continuing the rescue mission. The remaining Dragon's Breath patients were cured, while Isabella defeated 3 more Endermen after quickly learning their attack patterns. By sunset, 157 infected refugees had been saved. The last patient, a little girl, recovered after drinking Levi's magic milk, leaving her mother in tears of gratitude. Watching Levi risk everything to save complete strangers awakened something inside the knights. One by one, they knelt before him. Instead of serving only the northern frontier, they swore their personal loyalty to Levi Charles. Levi accepted them with a simple order: save as many people as you can. His words only deepened their respect. Afterward, Levi arrived at the refugee camp where Trist had successfully given every refugee hot milk, preventing any hidden Dragon's Breath infections. Standing before the thousands of grateful refugees, Levi gave only one command: as long as I am Lord of Wintertown, no one will die from hunger or cold. Live like human beings. The camp fell silent. With the refugee crisis, assassin attack, and Dragon's Breath syndrome finally resolved, Wintertown flourished once again. The rescued refugees were granted freedom instead of becoming serfs, while Levi employed them to farm potatoes with growth powder, quarry stone, and help rebuild the town. Stories of his miraculous growth powder and magic milk spread everywhere, making his reputation soar. Among the townspeople, however, a disguised spy quietly gathered every rumor. After recording everything about Levi's achievements, he used a magic carrier pigeon scroll to send the report back to Winterhold. Meanwhile, Richard eagerly expected news of Levi's death. Instead, Lancelot handed him the spy's report revealing that Levi had not only survived, but solved every crisis with mysterious items like growth powder, cobblestone, and magic milk. Richard refused to believe Levi could accomplish such miracles alone. He concluded that an incredibly powerful alchemist, possibly even a legendary 5th-tier professional, must be secretly supporting him. Enraged, Richard destroyed everything in his room and ordered his spies to discover the mysterious expert's identity at any cost. Gold, territory, women. He would offer 10 times whatever Levi could. Before leaving, Lancelot delivered another report. The escaped demi-human princess had fled into a forest only 10 kilometers from Wintertown after her escort was defeated. Richard coldly ordered his men to capture her alive, determined to vent all his hatred on her. Back in Wintertown, Levi continued training his breathing technique and swordsmanship, hoping to break through to 1st-tier swordsman. After training, he found Isabella and the knights fully armed. She explained that woodsmen had discovered traces of a suspected 2nd-tier magical beast in a nearby forest, and the knights were preparing to investigate. Hearing the words 2nd-tier magical beast, Levi became excited. After days of sparring with Isabella, he wanted a real life-or-death battle to sharpen his skills. He immediately volunteered to join the mission. Isabella agreed, believing real combat was necessary for Levi's growth. Before she could even finish telling him to put on his armor, Levi instantly equipped his full iron armor, sword, and shield from his inventory. The stunned knights could only stare as Levi smiled and urged them forward. Let's go. While Levi and the knights searched the White Wolf Forest for a rumored 2nd-tier magical beast, another battle was already underway. Princess Nina of the Northern Demi-Human tribe and her loyal maid Zio Ki fled desperately through the snow as the elite Frost squad from Winterhold hunted them down. One by one, their guards sacrificed themselves to buy time, but the overwhelming strength of the 5 2nd-tier pursuers left them with little hope. Cornered, Zio Ki stood alone before the princess, refusing to surrender even at the cost of her life. Bulk Rockbreaker, the Frost squad's mighty warrior, mocked her bravery and even joked about taking her back as a pet. Trusting Zio Ki's sacrifice, Nina fled, only to be forced into a hidden trap by the enemy archer and captured inside a giant net. With the princess captured and Zio-Ki badly wounded, Bulk stepped forward to seize her. But just as he reached out, a powerful sword strike slammed into his battle axe, forcing the massive warrior backward. Shock filled Bulk's face. Very few people could match his raw strength head-on. The attacker was Levi. After several exchanges, even Bulk couldn't overpower him. Impressed, the warrior admitted Levi's strength, but Levi calmly lowered his sword and demanded to know why armed strangers had entered Wintertown's territory. Behind him, Isabella and the Knight's Order arrived, surrounding the Frost Squad. Isabella helped the wounded Zio-Ki to her feet, while the terrified maid begged Levi to save Princess Nina, revealing that more than 30 demi-humans had died escaping from Winterhold. Levi was surprised to learn that the prisoners were members of the northern demi-human tribe. When Zio-Ki revealed that 7th Prince Richard intended to torture Princess Nina to death, everything became clear. Levi glanced at the white-haired fox princess trapped inside the net, then looked back at the Frost Squad. A cold smile appeared on his face. Anything that ruined Richard's plans was worth doing. Raising his iron sword toward the 5 elite soldiers, Levi gave them one final warning. If you refuse to explain why you've invaded Wintertown's territory, then I'll treat every one of you as hostile intruders. As both sides faced each other, the Frost Squad quickly recognized Isabella and guessed the black-haired young man beside her might be Levi, though they found it hard to believe the infamous Trash Prince would personally lead knights into battle. Isabella quietly warned Levi that the 5 enemies before them were Winterhold's elite Frost Squad. Every member was a second-tier professional, and together they possessed strength comparable to a third-tier powerhouse. Inside the capture net, Princess Nina's hope returned for a brief moment. But remembering how 32 of her guards had died without even injuring the Frost Squad, she feared Levi's group would suffer the same fate. Trying to avoid a fight, the Frost Squad's mage, Silas, politely claimed they were acting under 7th Prince Richard's orders to capture escaped demi-human criminals. According to him, Nina and Zio-Ki were simply runaway slaves from Winterhold's arena. Levi immediately questioned the story. Since the northern demi-human royal family consisted of white foxes, why would Richard hunt down a princess and risk starting a war with the entire tribe? Silas calmly insisted they were legal slaves and even pointed to the slave brand on Zio-Ki's arm. Isabella confirmed the mark was real. Before anyone could react, Levi smiled. So they have slave marks. That only made things easier. On Wintertown's territory, who could prove they weren't his slaves? Zio-Ki hurriedly explained that Richard's men had captured and branded them by force, but Levi calmly stopped her. You can explain everything later. On my territory, I make the rules. Relieved, Zio-Ki finally believed they had found someone willing to protect them. Growing impatient, Silas warned Levi not to interfere with 7th Prince Richard's orders. His teammates quietly spread out into battle formation, prepared to use force if negotiations failed. Levi simply laughed. Richard's name might terrify everyone else on the northern frontier. But it meant nothing to him. The atmosphere instantly turned cold. Levi looked directly at Silas. Do I need you to teach me what is legal? The entire Frost Squad froze. Only the royal princes could refer to themselves as this prince. Combined with Levi's black hair, black eyes, and Isabella standing beside him, they finally realized the impossible truth. The young man before them was truly the Lord of Wintertown, the 6th Prince Levi Charles. Drawing his iron sword, Levi pointed it toward the Frost Squad with an icy expression. You invaded my territory and dared to capture my demi-human slaves. I'll give you one chance. Leave now. Lord died. Levi declared Nina and Zio-Ki to be his demi-human slaves, using his authority as the Lord of Wintertown to block the Frost Squad from taking them away. Though shocked, Nina realized he was only claiming ownership to protect them. Isabella immediately cut down the capture net and rescued the exhausted fox princess, while Zio-Ki burst into tears of relief. The Frost Squad hesitated. Attacking Levi meant committing treason against the royal family, a crime punishable by death. Bulk tried one last time to negotiate, asking Levi to hand over Zio-Ki so they could report back to Richard. Levi stepped forward with his sword drawn, overwhelming the 5 second-tier elites through sheer confidence alone. He coldly declared that both demi-humans now belonged to Wintertown and warned them to leave immediately or die. Unable to oppose a royal prince openly, the Frost squad reluctantly backed down. Before leaving, Levi stopped them one final time. He ordered them to deliver a message to Richard. "Tell my foolish younger brother I know everything he's done. Let him keep trying. I'll remind him why I'm the elder brother and why he'll always remain the younger one." The Frost squad left in humiliation, knowing Richard would explode with rage after hearing those words. The Knights of Wintertown looked at Levi with newfound admiration. A single prince had forced the legendary Frost squad to retreat without a fight. Isabella couldn't hide her proud smile, convinced once again she had chosen the right lord to serve. After the danger passed, Princess Nina formally thanked Levi for saving both her life and Zio Keys. Her extraordinary beauty even caught Levi's attention for a brief moment. Curious, Levi jokingly asked whether she feared he might actually keep them as slaves. Zio Key froze in panic, but Nina calmly replied that he never would. She revealed that the Fox demi-human royal bloodline possessed a special ability. It could read the emotions hidden within a person's eyes. Looking into Levi's, she saw neither greed nor lust, only sincerity. The revelation immediately sparked Levi's curiosity. If demi-human bloodlines possessed unique innate powers, then perhaps Steve's physique granted by the Minecraft system was also a kind of bloodline ability. Understanding Nina's power might help him unlock even greater potential within his own mysterious abilities. Satisfied, Levi dropped the act and asked the two to explain everything that had happened and why Richard was hunting them. Realizing they had finally found someone they could trust, Nina smiled with relief and began telling the story of their escape. Princess Nina explained that the northern demi-human tribe had fought alongside the northern frontier against the monster tide for decades. This time, however, the invasion was overwhelming. The black teleporting monsters destroyed the walls, entered the cities, and massacred everyone inside. Separated from the main demi-human force, Nina and her companions escaped south, believing Winterhold would shelter them. Instead, Prince Richard imprisoned them in his slave arena. While he tortured Nina's followers for entertainment, he deliberately spared her. Using her Fox bloodline ability to read emotions, Nina discovered his true intention. He wanted to drive her insane before turning her into one of his specimens. Horrified, her followers staged a prison break. More than 30 demi-humans sacrificed themselves, protecting Nina and Zio Key during their escape before Levi rescued them from the Frost squad. Levi found Richard's actions illogical. If the northern frontier had truly fallen, Winterhold should have been the next target, yet Richard ignored the crisis and hunted refugees instead. Unable to understand his motives, Levi decided to focus on his original mission. He reminded everyone that they hadn't entered the White Wolf Forest to rescue Nina. They had come to investigate reports of a second-tier magical beast threatening Wintertown's lumber operations. Since timber was essential for Wintertown's future development, eliminating the beast was a priority. Levi ordered Isabella to spread the knights out and search the forest, instructing them not to engage the beast if they found it. He intended to fight it personally, believing a real life-and-death battle might finally allow him to break through and become a first-tier swordsman. Before the search began, Nina stopped him. She revealed that although her Fox bloodline couldn't locate magical beasts, canine demi-humans possessed an extraordinary sense of smell. At her command, Zio Key crouched down, sniffed the ground and the air for only a few moments, then confidently pointed deeper into the snowy forest. "I found the scent, follow me." Watching the little canine girl effortlessly track the target, Levi instantly realized why demi-humans were so valuable. Smiling, he ordered the knights to move out. The entire group followed Zio Key as she led them toward the hidden magical beast lurking within the White Wolf Forest. Guided by Zio Key's sharp senses, the group quietly located the second-tier magical beast hidden deep inside White Wolf Forest. It was a silver-white snow wolf, perfectly camouflaged within the snowy landscape. Princess Nina explained that snow wolves were powerful ice-element magical beasts that usually hunted in packs of 5 or 6. Judging from the tracks, however, only one remained because it had recently given birth and was guarding its cubs while the rest of the pack searched for food. Although snow wolves were dangerous by nature, Nina revealed an important secret. If raised from birth, they could be tamed. Even the northern demi-human tribe's elite wolf cavalry rode trained snow wolves into battle, making them fearsome partners capable of rivaling third-tier warriors. Instead of seeing a threat, Levi saw an opportunity. Wintertown desperately lacked powerful fighting forces. Since his plan to create iron golems had stalled due to the lack of pumpkins, these wolf cubs could become the perfect alternative. Levi immediately remembered Minecraft mechanics. Wolves could be tamed with bones, and young wolves could grow rapidly when fed meat. If those mechanics also worked in this world, he could quickly raise an army of loyal snow wolves. Rather than attacking the mother wolf head-on, Levi came up with a safer strategy. Using Steve's mining ability, he would secretly dig an underground tunnel, steal the cubs without alerting the pack, then lure the mother wolf into a one-on-one battle underground. This would prevent her from calling the other 4 wolves back, while also giving Levi the life-or-death fight he needed to break through to first-tier swordsmen. After explaining the plan to Isabella, her initial concern quickly turned into excitement. The thought of obtaining a powerful snow wolf companion was too tempting to refuse. With everything decided, Isabella smiled confidently. "Then let's do it, Your Highness." Levi's plan was approved immediately. He swapped to his iron pickaxe and torch, preparing for an underground assault. Nina and the others froze as the tools suddenly appeared in his hands. Levi casually claimed they came from a magical storage bag, but Nina sensed no mana at all. As a talented mage, she knew such an item should emit magical fluctuations. She quietly kept her suspicions to herself. Without another word, Levi started digging. The frozen earth vanished block by block as he tunneled straight underground at an impossible speed, leaving everyone staring in disbelief. Even Zio-Ki admitted he dug faster than a canine demi-human. After creating a small underground chamber, Levi called down Isabella and Zio-Ki while the remaining knights stayed above. Nina insisted on joining long enough to cast Flame Blade, temporarily enchanting Levi's iron sword with fire, the perfect element against snow wolves. When she jumped down, Zio-Ki nearly collapsed from exhaustion while trying to catch her. Levi reacted instantly, catching Nina around the waist and stopping both of them from falling. Embarrassed, Nina thanked him while Zio-Ki apologized for overestimating herself. Ignoring the awkward moment, Levi continued digging a perfectly straight tunnel toward the wolf den. Guided by Zio-Ki's incredible sense of smell, they stopped directly beneath the pups. Levi outlined the operation. Nina would enchant his sword. He would open a hole beneath the den. Isabella and Zio-Ki would receive the wolf pups. Once they escaped, Levi would lure the mother wolf underground and fight it alone. Everything happened exactly as planned. Levi quietly emerged beneath the den by stacking stone beneath his feet. 5 sleeping snow wolf cubs rested together beside the unaware mother wolf. One by one, Levi carefully handed each cub down to Isabella, who placed them inside Zio-Ki's bag. Mission accomplished. After the 3 women retreated to safety, Nina finished enchanting Levi's sword with blazing flames. Levi switched to sword and shield, then deliberately smashed his weapon against the cave walls, creating loud echoes. The furious mother wolf rushed back to its den. Its cubs were gone. Only a strange hole remained. Unable to understand what had happened, the enraged snow wolf caught the scent of its children below, and without hesitation, leaped straight into Levi's underground tunnel, walking directly into his trap. The enraged mother snow wolf leaped into Levi's tunnel after smelling her stolen cubs. The moment it landed, it charged at him with terrifying speed. Levi barely managed to block the first attack with his shield. To Nina and Zio-Ki's shock, the ordinary-looking shield completely withstood the full strength of a second-tier magical beast. An intense duel erupted underground. The snow wolf possessed overwhelming strength, while Levi relied on perfect defense, gradually adapting to every movement. As the battle continued, his breathing became smoother until he completely merged with his surroundings. Watching from behind, Isabella smiled. Levi had reached the final step. A surge of power suddenly spread through his body as his understanding of swordsmanship transformed. Levi officially advanced into a first-tier swordsman. His first sword skill, Heavy Slash, erupted with explosive power. The blazing sword crashed onto the snow wolf's shoulder, shattering its bones and instantly turning the battle around. Desperate, the wounded beast unleashed its strongest attack, quadruple ice arrows. 4 freezing projectiles shot toward Levi. Blocked every single one. Neither Levi nor his shield suffered any damage, leaving the snow wolf and everyone watching completely stunned. Levi immediately counterattacked with another heavy slash, carving a massive flaming wound across the wolf's back. Just then, the stolen wolf cubs cried from Zio-Ki's bag. Hearing its children, the exhausted mother wolf ignored its injuries and charged again and again, desperately trying to save them. Each assault was beaten back, yet it refused to surrender. Watching the mother fight despite being covered in wounds, Levi changed his mind. He had already achieved his breakthrough. Instead of killing her, he decided on a better plan. Levi tore off a piece of his cloak and threw it before the wounded snow wolf. "I'll keep your cubs. If you want them back, recover first, then come find me." The intelligent, magical beast couldn't understand every word, but it understood the challenge. The mother wolf picked up the piece of Levi's cloak, stared one last time at her cubs, then escaped through the tunnel entrance. Levi watched it disappear with a satisfied smile. Rather than hunting the remaining snow wolves one by one, he would let the furious mother gather the entire pack and bring them straight to him. Levi spared the mother snow wolf for a reason. Instead of killing it, he planned to let it reunite with the rest of the pack and lure every wolf into a single trap. If taming them failed, he would simply eliminate them all later after strengthening Wintertown's forces. With 5 snow wolf cubs in hand, Levi was already imagining an army of fully grown second-tier magical beasts guarding his territory. Satisfied, the group sealed the tunnel, left the forest before the wolf pack returned, and hurried back to Wintertown. Meanwhile, back in Winterhold, Richard was furious after hearing the Frost Squad's report. Not only had they failed to capture Princess Nina, but Levi had openly mocked him, declaring that Richard would forever remain nothing more than his younger brother. Instead of exploding immediately, Richard laughed in rage before driving the Frost Squad out of the room. Left alone with his trusted knight, Lancelot, Richard devised another scheme. Since Levi had rescued the northern demi-humans, Richard planned to accuse him of colluding with them, hoping the newly arrived royal knights from the capital would brand Levi a traitor. Lancelot hesitated, knowing such a crime could destroy a prince forever. Richard calmly reminded him of the promise that kept him loyal. If Richard gained enough power, the Abyss cult could resurrect Lancelot's dead wife and daughter. Unable to abandon that hope, Lancelot reluctantly accepted the order. After he left, Richard received another secret message from the Abyss cult. The truth behind the northern frontier was finally revealed. The monster tide wasn't a natural disaster at all. It had been orchestrated by the Abyss cult with Richard's cooperation. Although the northern frontier was still holding out, the cult's ultimate weapon had yet to appear. A terrifying black magic dragon was about to descend. Richard believed that once he formed a contract with the dragon and sacrificed the countless lives of the North to the Abyss, he would gain unimaginable power, rise to the 4th tier, and eventually conquer the entire continent. As he imagined his future empire, Richard burst into manic laughter. Completely consumed by ambition, the 7th prince had already become nothing more than a servant of the Abyss, while a far greater darkness quietly spread across the northern frontier. Levi and the others returned safely to Wintertown. The town was thriving again. Markets had reopened, refugees had settled in, and despite the monster tide disrupting trade, merchants still risked traveling north for profit. As they approached the city, however, Nina suddenly frowned. She had heard that over 1,000 refugees had fled here after the northern frontier collapsed. Yet, there wasn't a single refugee outside the walls. She immediately reached the worst conclusion. Had Levi driven them away, or worse? Zio-Ki reached the same terrifying thought, and both quietly began exchanging signals with their ears and tails, desperately discussing whether they should escape. Levi noticed their strange expressions. "What's wrong?" The pair instantly made excuses about sore hands and injured ankles, but Levi wasn't convinced. Once inside the city, the pressure finally became too much. Zio-Ki suddenly dropped to her knees. She begged Levi to spare Princess Nina, even offering herself in exchange if he wanted a demi-human slave. Nina also lowered her head and pleaded for mercy. Levi stood there completely speechless. He had only been about to ask why their ears and tails kept twitching. Instead, both of them had somehow concluded he was about to imprison them. After forcing Zio-Ki to stand up, Levi finally heard their reasoning. They believed every refugee outside Wintertown had already been wiped out. Levi couldn't help laughing. "Who told you I killed all the refugees?" Without explaining further, he simply led them toward the refugee settlement. The two became even more terrified, thinking he was taking them somewhere to dispose of them. When they tried to flee, Levi effortlessly grabbed both of them and carried them away before they could escape. Moments later, Nina and Zio-Ki froze. Before them stood hundreds of sturdy stone houses filled with smiling refugees living peacefully. Instead of starving survivors, they found healthy families greeting Levi with genuine respect and gratitude. Everywhere they walked, people warmly thanked their lord. Only then did the truth sink in. Levi hadn't abandoned the refugees. He had given them homes. Looking down at their own torn clothes and dirt-covered bodies, Nina and Zio-Ki suddenly realized something embarrassing. Compared to the well-fed refugees, they looked like the actual refugees. As Zio-Ki stood there in disbelief, an elderly refugee misunderstood her shocked expression. Thinking the exhausted little girl was hungry, he smiled kindly and placed half of his precious baked potato into her hands before walking away. Holding the warm potato, Zio-Ki felt completely defeated. She had just received charity from the very refugees she thought had all been killed. Levi brought Nina and Zio-Ki through the refugee district, where Isabella explained everything that had happened over the past 10 days. The refugee houses, the endless food supply, and the smiling townspeople finally erased all of their doubts. The two lowered their heads. "We're sorry we misunderstood you." Zio-Ki then leaned her head forward. "In our tribe, letting someone touch our ears is the sincerest apology." Levi blinked. "Really?" Isabella nodded. "I've heard that's true." Levi immediately looked at Nina's fluffy fox ears. "Then can I touch yours?" Nina's face instantly turned bright red. Before she could answer, Zio-Ki hurriedly stepped between them. "No, Princess Nina's ears can only be touched by her future husband." The surrounding knights instantly became curious. Even Isabella hadn't known about this royal demi-human tradition. Seeing Nina shyly lower her head in silence, Levi gave up on the idea. "Then I'll borrow Zio-Ki's instead." He happily rubbed Zio-Ki's floppy dog ears. Soft, very soft. Levi also discovered something interesting. Demi-humans actually had two pairs of ears, animal ears on top and normal human ears on the sides. "All right," Levi smiled. "I forgive you." Zio-Ki bowed gratefully. "Thank you, Your Highness." Back at the Lord's mansion, Trist welcomed everyone. Levi introduced Princess Nina and Zio-Ki before asking Isabella to help them bathe and change into clean clothes. Meanwhile, Levi headed to the backyard with Trist. The once beautiful flower garden had completely transformed into a giant food production base. Potatoes and wheat were growing everywhere thanks to Minecraft's bone meal. Pete proudly reported, "The refugees have more than enough food now, we're even selling the surplus." Only one problem. The Agricultural Association wants us to raise food prices. Levi smiled coldly. So they want higher prices. He quietly added another name to his mental blacklist. After inspecting the farms, Levi collected several stacks of bones and ordered the kitchen to prepare fresh raw meat. Returning to his office, he looked at the 5 sleeping snow wolf cubs. His eyes lit up. Minecraft wolves could be tamed with bones, and young wolves grew faster when fed meat. If both mechanics worked here, Wintertown would soon gain 5 fully grown second-tier snow wolves. Levi couldn't hide his grin. His first magical beast army was about to be born. Back at the Lord's mansion, Nina and Zio-Ki had changed into clean-made outfits. The 3 girls were happily playing with the 5 fluffy snow wolf pups when Levi returned. Isabella asked curiously, "Your Highness, how are you planning to tame them?" Levi only smiled. "You'll say." A servant soon wheeled in a cart loaded with bones and fresh pork. Everyone looked confused. "You're feeding them that?" Zio-Ki asked. Levi simply picked up a large bone and offered it to the first wolf pup. The little wolf bit it. Poof! The bone vanished into thin air. "They!" Zio-Ki jumped in shock. Where did the bone go? Even Nina couldn't sense a trace of magic. Then Levi tried another bone. Poof! This time little hearts appeared above the pup's head. A bright red collar formed around its neck. Tamed successfully. The wolf instantly rubbed its head against Levi's hand, wagging happily like a loyal dog. The others stared with wide eyes. He actually tamed it. Without wasting time, Levi repeated the process. A few failures. A few more bones. Then another success. Within minutes, all 5 snow wolf pups wore matching red collars. The fierce magical beasts had completely turned into obedient puppies. Even Nina was speechless. She had never seen magical beasts tamed so easily. Now for the second step. Levi placed the 5 pups on the floor before taking out fresh raw pork. Wait. The first pup eagerly swallowed one piece. Then another. And another. With every bite, its body visibly grew larger. The girls watched in disbelief. It's getting bigger. After the 10th piece of meat. Boom! The tiny wolf pup rapidly transformed into a fully grown snow wolf over 1.5 meters tall. A powerful icy aura filled the room. Second-tier magical beast, Snow Wolf. Ow! Its howl echoed throughout the entire Lord's mansion. The servants outside nearly dropped everything they were carrying. Zio-Ki stood frozen. It grew into an adult in minutes. Nina silently made the sign of the beast god. What kind of miracle is this? Levi simply smiled. For Minecraft players, raising a giant wolf only required 3 simple steps. Take home a wolf pup. Feed it bones until it's tamed. Feed it meat until it grows up. Just like that, Wintertown had gained its first fully grown second-tier snow wolf. And there were still 4 more pups waiting their turn. Levi quickly repeated the process with the remaining pups. Bones. Might. Grow. Within minutes, 5 fully grown second-tier snow wolves stood inside the office. Ow! Their howls echoed across the entire Lord's mansion. Levi laughed. All right, that's enough. The 5 giant wolves instantly fell silent. Seeing them obey so completely, even Princess Nina couldn't hide her shock. A whole squad of second-tier magical beasts. Levi had built it in less than a day. Levi pointed at one of the wolves. Isabella, this one is yours. The snow wolf immediately walked over and rubbed affectionately against her. Isabella's eyes sparkled. A second-tier mount would massively increase her combat strength. She knelt respectfully. Thank you, Your Highness. Levi smiled. The stronger you become, the safer I become. Satisfied, Levi looked at the remaining wolves. 5 wasn't enough. His real goal. A snow wolf army. He pulled out another bone, preparing to test Minecraft's breeding mechanic. The 5 wolves instantly stared at the bone, with glowing eyes like oversized puppies. Just as Levi was about to continue. Knock, knock. Come in. Trist hurried into the room. And froze. 5 giant snow wolves were staring directly at him. His legs nearly gave out. My goodness. Levi quickly helped the frightened butler onto a chair. Old Trist, what's wrong? After calming down, Trist hurriedly reported. Your Highness, 5 wild snow wolves have appeared outside the city. Levi's eyes lit up. The mother wolf had arrived. She gathered the rest of her pack and followed his scent all the way to Wintertown. Perfect. He was just about to tame them too. But Trist quickly added, there's more. They're fighting a night order. The scouts identified them as the royal capital's Templar Knights. Levi frowned. The Royal Knights. Weren't they supposed to be reinforcing the northern frontier? Why were they outside Wintertown instead? Trist guessed. They may be the relief force the capital promised to send. Levi nodded. Maybe. Or maybe Richard had already started making his move. Either way, he couldn't let the Royal Knights kill his future wolves. Levi stood up. Isabella. Yes, Your Highness. We're leaving the city. He then turned to Nina and Zioki. You two stay here and rest. The girls nodded obediently. Moments later, Levi and Isabella mounted their snow wolves. 5 giant wolves followed behind them. Together, they charged toward the city gates. Meanwhile, Trist escorted Nina and Zioki to their rooms. Neither of them knew. A new confrontation was already waiting just outside Wintertown. Half a day earlier, Winterhold. Richard welcomed the church's rising star, Saintess Jean d'Arc, into his mansion. In less than a year, Jean had risen from an ordinary village girl to a third-tier holy knight, earning the title of the Saintess blessed by the God of Dawn. Her talent was unmatched, and many believed she could hear the voice of the God of Dawn. She was preparing to reinforce the northern frontier and wanted to leave immediately. Richard stopped her. I called you because this concerns the Crown Prince selection. That caught Jean's attention. Richard handed her a stack of evidence. According to the documents, Levi had made a contract with a demon. He secretly worked with the northern demi-humans. The monster tide and the black dragon were caused by him. He used forbidden magic to grow crops instantly. He sheltered Princess Nina and her servant as enemy spies. Even the Windsor family was secretly helping him seize the throne. Jane frowned. Do you realize how serious these accusations are? Richard calmly smiled. If any of it were false, I'd be destroying my own chance to become crown prince. After a long silence, Jean accepted the documents. I'll investigate Levi personally. Exactly as Richard had planned. He deliberately avoided involving the Windsor family's vice commander, knowing he would protect Levi. By sending Jean alone, Richard could keep his real scheme hidden. As Jean left for Wintertown, Richard finally revealed his true face. His black eyes slowly turned deep purple, while dark veins spread across his body. He had secretly reached third tier through the power of the Abyss cult. His real objective was never the throne. The monster tide, the coming demon dragon, and the massive abyss magic array beneath Winterhold were all part of his plan. Soon, Dragon's Breath syndrome would spread across the city, feeding endless fear to the abyss. Richard laughed madly. Crown Prince, I don't care about the Dawn Kingdom anymore. I will conquer the entire continent. Present time outside Wintertown. 5 snow wolves were locked in battle against 6 Templar knights from the Church of Dawn. Leading them was Saintess Jeanne d'Arc, whose holy light protected her allies while the wolves struggled to break through. Realizing a normal fight would take too long, Jeanne cast 3rd tier Holy Light Blessing, greatly boosting every knight's strength. The battle instantly turned. The wolves were forced into retreat, and one knight raised his sword to finish off the injured mother wolf. Just before the killing blow landed, "Ow!" 5 powerful wolf howls echoed across the battlefield. The knight's movement slowed, and a giant snow wolf slammed into him, sending him flying. Everyone turned. 5 enormous snow wolves charged onto the battlefield. Riding them were Levi and Isabella. Levi smiled casually. "Gentlemen, please don't kill my future pets." The Templar knights froze. "But those terrifying 2nd-tier snow wolves." Then they recognized the young man. "That's 6th Prince Levi." Jeanne immediately stepped forward. "Are you Prince Levi Charles?" Levi nodded. "Since you know who I am, wait a moment. I need to tame these wolves first." Ignoring everyone's stunned expressions, Levi rode straight toward the injured mother wolf. The moment she saw him, hatred filled her eyes. It was him, the thief who stole her children. She prepared to attack, but suddenly froze. The giant snow wolf beneath Levi carried a scent she knew better than anyone. Her own pup. She sniffed again in disbelief. How? Her tiny cub had grown into a giant wolf in less than a single day. The mother wolf finally realized the giant wolf beside Levi was her own cub. Her once tiny pup had somehow grown even larger than her. The cub happily rubbed against her while telling her everything that had happened. Hearing how Levi had fed and protected her children, the mother wolf's hostility completely disappeared. Instead, she looked at Levi with a guilty, almost puppy-like expression. "Master, you've raised my children better than I ever could." The other snow wolves still bared their fangs at Levi until they recognized the scent of their nephews and nieces. They froze. How did the pups become giant wolves in only half a day? The mother wolf quickly explained everything. Soon the entire pack lowered their heads before Levi. They had chosen to surrender. Levi smiled and immediately threw out piles of bones and raw meat. The hungry wolves rushed over without hesitation. As they ate, red collars appeared around their necks, marking them as successfully tamed. Even the mother wolf's wounds rapidly healed. In just minutes, Levi's army had grown to 10 loyal 2nd-tier snow wolves. With this force, Wintertown's military strength skyrocketed. Watching everything unfold, Jeanne frowned. Levi hadn't just communicated with magical beasts. He had effortlessly made an entire wolf pack submit. Even Isabella was amazed. "Are you Saintess Jeanne d'Arc?" Jeanne nodded. "That's correct." Before Isabella could say anything else, Jeanne suddenly turned toward Levi. Her expression became cold. She raised her banner and accused him. "Levi Charles, to win the Crown Prince selection, you actually made a contract with demons." Jeanne angrily confronted Levi. Why would a prince of the Dawn Kingdom abandon the god of dawn and make a contract with a demon? Levi looked completely confused. "A demon contract? Do I look like I need one?" The Templar knights stepped forward. "You command magical beasts without a familiar contract. How else can you explain it?" Levi shrugged. "I tamed them. My methods are simply different." He quickly realized where the accusation came from. "Richard filled your head with lies, didn't he?" Jeanne remained silent. Levi smiled. "If you only believe my foolish younger brother, then keep accusing me. But if you want the truth, come and see Wintertown with your own eyes." Without waiting for an answer, Levi rode back toward the city, while Isabella followed behind. After a brief hesitation, Jean ordered, "Follow him." As they entered Wintertown, Jean was stunned. Stone roads, busy workshops, workers rebuilding the town. Everything was orderly and full of life. Levi had turned refugees into workers, expanded food production, repaired the town, and improved the city's defenses, all in just a short time. This wasn't the territory of someone serving demons. It looked like a town rapidly flourishing under a capable ruler. When they reached the refugee settlement, the refugees immediately recognized Levi. "Lord Levi's, thank you for saving us. You gave us food, homes, and work. May the God of Dawn bless you." Their gratitude was genuine. Jean could tell they weren't acting. These people truly respected Levi. For the first time, doubt appeared in the Saintess's heart. Could someone loved this deeply by his people really be a servant of demons? Levi turned to her with a calm smile. "Well, Saintess, have you seen enough to judge for yourself?" The Templar Knights glared at Levi, but before they could react, Jean stopped them. Isabella, however, had already lost her patience. She stepped forward and confronted Jean directly. "I know you still doubt His Highness, but if you truly believe a fallen one would save thousands of refugees, give them free food and housing, and even provide them with work, then what does that make you?" Isabella's words became sharper. "If helping the common people makes someone a demon's servant, then you're no different from those nobles who sit comfortably above everyone else and ignore their suffering." She finished with a cold sneer. "Perhaps the light of the God of Dawn hasn't helped you see the hardships of ordinary people." The Templar Knights immediately grabbed their weapons. "How dare you insult the Saintess?" "Stop!" Jean raised her hand. The knights hesitated. "I said stop." For the first time, doubt appeared in Jean's eyes. The people she had seen in Wintertown really were refugees from the northern frontier. And Levi had given them food, shelter, and jobs. Could Richard's accusations really be true? Isabella noticed Jean's hesitation and realized the Saintess wasn't beyond convincing. Then she turned toward Levi and knelt. "Your Highness, please punish me for speaking without permission." Isabella knew she had overstepped her authority. But she refused to remain silent while someone accused the person she had chosen to serve. Levi looked at his loyal knight and simply smiled. "This king absolves you. From now on, say whatever you want. This king likes your straightforwardness." Isabella froze. Those words struck her harder than expected. She had caused trouble throughout her life because of her blunt personality, and it had even contributed to her being sent to the northern border. Yet Levi accepted that very trait. Her eyes briefly became moist. She quickly lowered her head, wiped them, and returned to Levi's side. "Thank you, Your Highness." Levi mounted his giant snow wolf. "Let's go, I'll show you the rest." He didn't bother waiting for Jean's response. He respected other people's beliefs, but he had no intention of worshiping the God of Dawn or begging the Saintess for approval. In fact, Levi had already decided how to deal with Jean. Use her. Richard had tried to use the Saintess against him. Levi planned to turn that around. With 10 second-tier snow wolves and Wintertown rapidly developing, he no longer needed to hide his strength. And there was no better person to spread Wintertown's reputation throughout the Dawn Kingdom than the Saintess herself. If Jean and the Templar Knights witnessed everything Levi had built, Wintertown's name would spread far beyond the northern frontier. Levi casually rode toward the Lord's mansion. Meanwhile, Jean followed behind in silence. She had already begun questioning the evidence Richard had given her. And the more she saw of Wintertown, the harder it became to believe Levi was the villain Richard claimed he was. Levi brought Jean into the Lord's mansion's back garden. The crop production line was running around the clock, with Pete carefully managing the workers' shifts. Despite the refugees desperately wanting extra night shift pay, Levi had one strict rule. No one worked more than 6 hours a day. Pete enforced it without exception. To him, Levi was an unbelievable lord, one who actually cared about the health of his workers instead of squeezing them for everything they had. When Levi arrived, Pete was personally checking the grain and seeds. "Your Highness." But before Levi could say much, Jean's attention was completely stolen by the fields. The wheat and potatoes were growing at an absurd speed. Jean immediately grabbed the growth powder from an attendant and examined it. She couldn't understand it. This was a power completely outside the world's conventional magic. The commotion caught Pete's attention. Then he recognized Jean. "Wait, you're the Holy Maiden." The workers immediately began whispering. The Holy Maiden came all the way here to visit His Highness. As expected, His Highness must be blessed by the God of Dawn. Jean heard every word, and that surprised her more than she expected. The people genuinely respected Levi. As someone who had also risen from humble origins, Jean knew how difficult it was for a lord to earn the sincere loyalty of ordinary people. Yet Levi had somehow accomplished it in barely half a month. Could someone loved by the people really be a fallen one serving demons? The doubt in Jean's heart grew even stronger. Then she looked back at the production line. That was when she truly realized how extraordinary Levi's achievement was. Magical beast taming was possible. Helping refugees was possible. But instantly producing food was something else entirely. Food was the foundation of every kingdom. Jean had once prayed to the God of Dawn for a solution to famine. The god had remained silent. But now, standing before Levi's fields, she saw something she had once thought impossible. If this growth powder could be produced on a large scale, countless people might never have to starve again. Her attitude toward Levi softened considerably. "What exactly is this?" Levi didn't answer immediately. After all, Jean had spent all this time accusing him of being a demon contractor. Isabella noticed Levi's expression and secretly smiled. "Serves you right." Jean also realized Levi was deliberately giving her the cold shoulder. And honestly, she couldn't blame him. She had accused him without properly investigating the truth. Seeing that she had finally lowered her guard, Levi smiled. Then he looked directly into her blue eyes. First, excluding the correct answer, this king. Jean narrowed her eyes. "Was it really you?" "Yeah, what's wrong?" Levi suddenly darkened his expression and lowered his voice. "That's right." A mysterious smile appeared on his face. "Actually, I really did contract with a demon." Okay, that's the end of this part, but I promise there's much more to come. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing so you don't miss the next part.